Adishma my mamunyina ha UTV esuni omamu nsem ne amahodo so de awosemu ason so eno na mede esomo enne awie ensem ni bia etodwa ene se edom kuma na kopie police headquarters ni nyina agina ablekuma abato ehunsunsu aso no sede enya metodwa ne se yenhunu nipa a wodi emu enkunim no wonom akoho edi nchemu beba mampanyi John Dramani Mahama se enya di a wono obebo obi echi dom se yachi obi se wodi keta hyehye ni dream ho dwa wo kwota na echi na ode na no kotum bibia ni ho obehwa matenten ni aye adwuma soafo ahye se yentua 1 Ghana cedi fuel levy said ye be beboa ma yenkani ahonsam no a enyina so no ye benya sika ede ayo ewonsam fufuro mu no energy minister akopie mu mrahye ya ye bisa no ECD containers ya ne ese ayira no ho asem esese de wahunu no omuhu ne he hwan na ne sasase wacheche nsem ni mu ye di kakra ebesomo awien sabredi ye bohwi na yakọ yenua bema prince akwa ho na ansa ne ye bekono me kai mo se midin de amasapunkuma jesse prince akwa wa homa ne so ewo police headquarters baby a minority fo no akopie enam abato a yeto ye ablekuma north edie no nsunsu aso no ye ntumi ankan ye hunu sa asemasi a na obenten chino ahwe ba ho nti ene di mu nim se omkodru ho no de pa na AC prince ma han
ya metonka
me na boye nsem ni mu
ye magana for nya apapa emra United Television so na nsem ni nyina ene say the minority caucus in parliament and they the petition about the IGP the representatives the ICID board na ombe piemo ewa hanu mi no omu nyina na bae etonyomo ebae say what the background out say champion no and so say we are all let's say almost all of us from fact nyina but I said we say no the top abomu no my name honorable ayenso no mra shebejari ma me ada ajua etiru any information na ye hwete therefore ma me wa kwaba edeba
yo me nyaba ma meje so
okay minority da ede na afide e ma so ebe bia mo asem tare
any way ni abre anopai etanse ebeta butumi siani yeto abawie ya yekenka ye no abekuma no ebetinle no ye collective resource no ye hu ni ekọ intene don kuma no the mighty minority the one among the petition ebe IGP Ghana ye petition for IGP I want no that security no ye ensure so they provide security ediama electoral commissioner no mwatimi quality resource no ni etimi enya mrasebejani a wo represent Africa North itanopai itwanamona wuti ye ni apre ne nam ha na ya system ni na ndie e ba be IGP na wa boya me enya security
I don't know what to keep for re-election tell the man ko bi kana mo ma approach ma na the baby
re-election that grade ye me no be ma medium ditum te hu nya it's evidence ni ya clear say yenu ya ba aye friend and take you no wini etini ya hwe ni mu ane so mbe mayen security na yetumi e quality results no na yedi ndia mania ese efakado
if there be a police results about the mania what to be the next line of action
no die ni nyina wo mpanifo no ho omo na ye dan wo mo nti omo no be take the next line of action
okay that's it we ayensu no mra se bedwani say utie background na what say mama aida ajiwa tie do na o te say enyomoto no and the good talk say so present here we as the day back to parliament house but it say be assistant to start at 2 o'clock and then the that create your name and bully and the ba o he say the enyomoto no for one really ya no be all the way example say mama say bia no be mo dia yo abrede ye diversity ya and minority purpose na mama ajo say PFP no abekuma north na ogina ho bi no orapa be chone the amanfo na focus na mo dey petition ba say otomo ho on leadership ni perifo nyina na enamo a dey kontita na photo our police headquarters
yo prince ya da so papa yenua bema prince akwa amane boy ya wodi free police headquarters ebre yen eno no edom kuma no na wonu makose police ahene ema wonu mabambofo se de be ya results na Ablekuma North ombetimi akokoleti ne ehu de wadi mu enkunim yemohwi na yentoa ensem no so omampanyi John Dramani Mahama e de atudwa se wono Ghana mamra no a eboye ho ban no obumra ne pa enti se bi obi de ne ho akofofo sikadie keta hye ensem bi mu na emra no to nsa frɛ no ana emra no so ne penchi a enya de okogina ho akokasa asemesi ana obentene oyeminu ana ofrimabusuam ana woye party asemesi benti yenya no se nipa na di bone nkwa no adi oman no dwurimudi a ene asotwe yesefata ene mra kwan yesese yede se nipa ne faso yede ne faso a enya de a obekasa ho.
We launched a program called Operation Recover All the Loot. It was a very popular program with Ghanaians, and anywhere you speak and you mention oral, I mean the applause and the response you get was very overwhelming. So it shows that it's an issue that Ghanaians are very concerned about. And of course, the fight against corruption must be important because the ordinary people realize that the more the political elite steal, the more fewer resources are available for the most important things like healthcare, like education, and so on and so forth. So I said last year before the election that this probably was going to be the last opportunity for us as the political leaders of this country to show Ghanaians that yes, we can have a democratic government that is accountable and that takes the fight against corruption seriously. And so since 7th January, we've been involved in a strong fight against corruption. We've published a code of conduct for political appointees, very stringent code of conduct. And we're going to have an orientation. I think Professor Dodo and the Chief of Staff have asked them to do an orientation for all our office holders, including our Chief Executive Officers and deputies and political appointees, to take them through the code of conduct so that they understand what is expected of them. One of the major problems that was affecting our fight against corruption was political interference. The anti-corruption agencies were not allowed to do their duty without being interfered with by the political elite. And there was a clear case in point when the special prosecutor came and said that the president had called him and asked him to stop a certain investigation, and the Minister of Finance had gone to his house to try to influence him to stop the investigation into the Ajapa, we call it the Ajapa deal. And so clearly, I mean, in the past there was an effort to interfere with the fight against corruption and restrain some of the anti-corruption agencies from doing their work. I have told the public and assured my Attorney General and Minister of Justice that I'm not going to interfere in their work. And that if the anti-corruption agencies go after anybody, I'm not going to try and influence them to drop any investigation against anybody. Both for those who served in the previous regime, many cases of which we are currently investigating. We set up the oral committee. It identified 33 cases, and it was handed over to the Attorney General, and he's created special investigative teams to investigate each of them. Some of them, they have found a lot of evidence of, procurement of properties, with illicit wealth and all that. And so with many of them, they're just at the point of beginning prosecutions. Some, they have started the prosecutions, and others are being lined up for prosecution. And so we're continuing that fight, but we still have quite some work to do. We've increased fiscal responsibility laws by amending the Public Financial Management Act to make it more difficult, for people to recklessly commit government without proper approvals.
Ebibiman kabo mu kuo ewo bedwako a wono ehwe ketahyehe ne proye eho nsem wo mu kutie pa na womutu aman ahodo mpanyimfo so fo kwan a wonfa so na wonko ene emu mpanyimfo bia bepie oman Ghana mu ya wo makọ Speaker of Parliament Yera Alban Suma na Kingsford Babin anaso ene no akodinkita ho.
Ghana is very committed to fighting the global anchor of corruption. By that year, 1999, the world community took a very critical policy, the policy of zero tolerance against corruption. I was a member of that conference, and together with a large delegation from Ghana, led then by the Commission on Human Rights and Administrative Justice. And in return, we established the Ghana Integrity Initiative. We also started strengthening the Commission for Human Rights and Administrative Justice. We made headlines in 2001 after the transition. Ghana adopted the national policy of zero tolerance against corruption. It's not easy to fight corruption, but please, we have done a lot to try to contain it. In fact, in our 1992 constitution, there's a call on all Ghanaians to make efforts and put the constitution to combat corruption.
Well, I think it's been very clear from all the statements that His Excellency the President has made that he's really committed to this fight against corruption. He understands the impact that it has on not just development but also social cohesion. And so I think it was to his mind very important that early on in his administration we get a sense of how external parties see our corruption architecture, our corruption game. And I think that's why he wanted them to come in this early so that we have a baseline of where we are and we know what to build on to get where Ghana must get on this anti-corruption fight. I think with these external authorities who are here to see what we do, I think we should wait to see what they have to say about us. So let's wait and see what they have to say. I mean, they'll be here for a week. In a week, we'll know what they say. And then it gives us a baseline for us to go to work on. Yes.
We have some for Yatoa and some so na Yankwa Homana Soniane, Executive Secretary, Edema Kopek, and Gochuchin Komo, Yeradan Kanamwa, and Fanfa, Enra, Penum for Ednesia, one more Simra, Shebi Jamu, and it's Yasua for Chese, Yahua Deniano, yet the cat. Na cash ye tono and who be here say ye sum tax ni bi koto ye per ye fanwo so said ye beya Ghana ni baby abetu ye sidi baako na aboa me ye tu asa aka no na ya ho de ho nsem agya ne na so enwanfo dodo no akasa ne ye kɔ na yakɔgye wonom so adwenkyerɛ ɛwɔ nsɛm ho mira mo ha mo akɔ aba awie yi
na mentia wahwefo ne watiefo nso enawie
ye da se Wadaroma wuti nsemi ebi kyerɛ sɛ enura ya metifo ne adrabafo kra ya adwen se ye tete ahyentuade so na omanfo ho adwo wonom san sɛ yesi di yanya anantuo bi agina so ade akɔkyen ya yɛse yenkani aho nsɛmti yɛmfa 1 Ghana entoto fanwo ebo so leta ba ko bia ya kyerɛ sɛ wotɔ gallon ba ko an kyerɛ sɛ wutua be de wo ho Edosun anase osusu se ne kwan so no
mame en kan dey say Energy Sector Levies Act etla no
yeah
afi we any enfie to the call parliament ye de beto ye energy a car ededa ye nim ene a car ya buragu honom a car ye ntimi ntua no the ESLA Energy Sector Levies no beto so sebe ya Ghana for ebeboa na nka enfie num pepepe no nanka yetuye nanka ye firi ho enfie dumu ene ewe Energy Sector Levies no a ye di kan de ba ye ESLA no ankasa no the nan ye betu area minim torchna na ye betu area minim and now for that for Korea, yes, a cano where you petrol the every more a year, the legacy debt, I have the 4 year that one.
Yeah,
who you free more and aka power the Unquanka was a coformono. And then no initial 2.2 billion near didn't see the Esla by 10 years ago. No, and then no a canako drew a Minoka 3.1 billion.
Yeah.
And the Ubebisa solution no isn't really with the car edge here. And our solution no is to the extent that stop it bleeding no from no niketa afisha ye wo power sector no sorry yes container ye import container mako 1000 ye import container mako 2000 ye import container mako 3000 na aden sebe enti wo de 200 300 500 buy na won't mean ko clear ya focus tipo na nka won ko clear fa me ye adwuma no na wo hia bia o china wasan import for
yeah
enti it looks as if sorry na yes ya kotam paper stationery ya to stationery nko for 40 years now we be say wo nipa na wo to stationery paper for 40 years no that 40 years ni so abeduru na wanka sakra no wo ehin na wo
and you want to say sika ne de emfa ho ne dodo a ye beje si ye 50 pesos kra na se ye nsi aboso anka se ye kano ne de kokon ne ye mane de fifa mia hodo a ebesan akoye kwasiko no jankwanti ana
de me kan se e kano enam bibi so na kan beda ho
yeah
e kano sorry free baby World Bank near the abetundo David bad management practices corruption actually ECG abdomen no and bad management decisions so are making na ECG nko kita account mako 82 near te ha near na ebinomo area yesika say twom no omodi e ka ne begu area na forget omo area sika no omo ye corruption omo din nsemo hunu semone enne o po omo che omo unya ebi nso so ne na moma yi mu ye mfi omo no obebisa ahun se ye jai sampanyifo we nyina na omo kodidi omo nyaaye na o saba okada for ho oba trotro for ho oba taxi for ho oba obia sabi auto petrol o man mu se o metua for power menyi ni se ne Ghana for di ni year in that regard
okay
ye the ministry no aban it should not be the case aban a what the levy sabi what the two ho say Ghana for asumonyo mo na is giving pressure to our pocket yakoyi enu afri ho Ghana for ya boy ensem aban ya adwuma den petrol bo esifom yakoha GPRT for omonte petrol so omonte fair so omate so Ghana for any ade na ye da sorry ya the same government is on doing the very things that or this 6-7 months and now 5 months I know I think that omon kodwene ho bio na bia na proposition ye the parliament akwa ne so wakaba onre ye bi o metimi atesa no I don't think that fair proper.
Okay. Na said ye wo mu cheche mu se e ka eda hoyi. Se ya anhwe ne ntua na mo ye wo mu suicide a ebetumi amia san kodum so yi. Unzusu se se obi adi sika se e be kire no no. Ye ntua ne yefa nyika ne mfiri o na afi mra no so ni wo no ma aye sika samba sa ne ade no enso ni e wo fa foforo.
Mame mwa wo say se o de spend to people ho a one Ghana cedi no se wo je Bosumi bia na sika obenya ye 460 million Ghana cedis.
Yeah.
What they call dollar be $46 million. Bosumi bia. Afeni be ko na wi no wanya be 540 million US dollars. Enti se o kotua e ka no nko na wo ji sika bia kra de akotua. It means that obenya enfiensia. Na wo de atua 3.1 na eda ho no.
Okay. Na
enfiensia no ebe so no the condition is that influence and the person not uncover $1 make a home. Where the bleeding is coming from, no?
Yeah.
The one stop bleeding now. Ube 3.1, maybe influence no. Now what's accumulated there 7 billion. So you need to stop the bleeding. You will need to do everything to ensure that as a chef pro year cost within the power sector, no. You better a one and more too. Ta chrono say ya what the na we aba no wadi no ya anya ne hwe na we nso aba no wadi ye wi a na ye se me ne wuti memufo no ye nkoche ntua no eno ne kofa esla eba 10 years ago ukaya December 21st 2015 ene ye de esla call parliament ya dije over 10 years ni
ankosi aga
the sikadie no ene kumuka ne dia we should not even be owing by and
Medase Yera Duncan Amwa eye Kopek executive secretary ne na atwetwe enkomo no we abusuafo ye nyina yate ensem no ebi na ye konsam foforo mu a Yeso afo yi a wo hwe ahode ne ho nsam so Yera John Abdullah Jinapo ekomrahye bedwafie na mwate dada se yesi ECG containers bi ewo port ayera yehu ema kire minister bebo amane yese wono matumi ehunu bi mrahye bedwafo to nsa friend se ewura ukohunu bi a hu ne sei na ayera ana obi na twikosi baabi ne se ho abekirekire mu ekyereye na wocheni nsem na ose woda port mpanyufo ase afei transport ministry nso so eboa wono pa ansa na omutumi hunu containers ni bi echi kwan ni nyina nkamfo ano wono ma etu anamon bi a etete sa no ade asotwe wo ho se wonsa ka no enso obema wonsa aka sei na enkomotwetwe no ko mrahye bedwafie
2,500 containers. I don't think that all of them will be scrap items, so I presume that they'll be useful items. The estimated value, we have to get the containers and then do the estimates, because unless they use the contractual value, and that is where you are seeing the 14 billion in excess. Those are the contractual values. So if you want to know the contractual value, don't go and just ask yourself what contracts were awarded, because it's the contract that tells you the value. So the contractual value will be the 8 billion and the 8 billion, which tells you that it's about 16 billion. And that is straightforward. Then there was an issue of authority. I noticed. I mean, the authority is joined to Volta, and the transmission line is 69 kV. It's supposed to be a 161 kV. So if we are able to change it to 161 with the needed substations, it would boost the system, and we are working on that. Then how many containers? I think I've been very clear on that. That at the transition, I was told about 3,000. Then I went to the port and I said, look, let's get to the bottom of it. That's why the committee was established. If you could take figures off like that, then you wouldn't need a committee. And the committee says that ECG could not clear 2,491 containers based on the information ECG gave them officially. That's the figure. The committee is a committee. They ask ECG, okay, how many containers do you have? ECG says, as far as our records are concerned, it's 2,491. Then the committee says, okay, let's go and verify. And that is here. It's not my report. I'm not a member of the committee. I didn't go to investigate. I set up a committee, and the committee submitted a report. And as you can see, list of containers obtained, Gapoha, ECG, containers, and then they said that, Chairman, let me quote it well, 1,328 could not be assessed by the committee. That means that the committee could not account for 1,300. And as minister said, let's go further. In fact, when this issue was reported, right after the report, I kept quiet. What brought this matter up was when the minority went to parliament and raised it, if you remember. And I had to come and respond. So, not to belabor the point, what we want is to get a whereabouts of all ECG containers. So far, through the port authorities and their support, I've given a figure that has been located. Let's take them. Let's reconcile again with ECG's numbers.
Majority leader Yera Mama Yarega edi atudwa se District Assembly Common Fund ye MCs ni DC sika womode ebo won ho bra ye mensini odeda no no eche sanse na wabato no ho nsem no antimi anko wano enu ntina sika ne ka mu ne ne ye de ama wo no.
Mr. Speaker, I think it is clear that there has been no delay in the payment of statutory funds by the government of John Dramani Mahama. No delay. Mr. Speaker, the records at National Health Insurance Authority are clear that on a monthly basis, payments have been made to service providers, payments have been made and transferred to hospitals, and we don't owe. That is very clear. Mr. Speaker, it is also very clear that Get fund allocation has also been made and payments made to get fund. Indeed, I am informed by some contractors that they have been paid. Mr. Speaker, the annual ritual of senior high schools not reopening because they don't have food has not occurred again. And schools are happily being run. Schools are happily being run. It is obvious that we are doing well in the education sector as well. Mr. Speaker, if there has been a delay in the transfer of the funds to the Common Fund Administrator, it is for very good reason. Mr. Speaker, the assemblies did not exist until very recently. After the election, many of the assemblies too dissolved. Because if you read the law says that the assembly is made of the district chief executive and the elected assembly members and the government appointees. The government appointees had been withdrawn. The DCE ceased to exist. They were no longer in office. So there was no assembly to transfer the money to. There was no assembly. Because by law, the assembly did not exist. There was no assembly. That is what the law says. Mr. Speaker, it is only recently, a couple of weeks ago, that most assemblies were able to elect their chief executives. When they elected their chief executives, then the assemblies were properly constituted to now be assemblies. And the Honorable Minister for Local Government went around the country to inaugurate the assemblies. That is why the monies were not transferred to the assemblies, because the assemblies did not exist.
Minority Chief Whip for Frank Anot Dompre na woye mrahebedwani de ma de hye wonsa wom adoagi wo de atodwa se so man photo sam for yera Dr. Kesel Ato Forson ese watua common fund sika ko get fund for ho a enya de nwanwa bi esese ye bona ba so eye nhihye ya ya agu wo sa aban bi aye.
Speaker, first of all, let nobody be deceived that the finance minister so moto walk into this chamber and deliver this statement. No, let me correct it. We started this advocacy at the business committee. We started advocating for the finance minister to be here and brief us or update the House on payment of statutory funds. Then on Friday, last week Friday, when the majority leader presented the business statement, I got up, the Hansa obeyed me out, and raised the matter again. And that is what compelled him to be here. So you should be commending the minority. All of you were quiet, you couldn't even complain. And you didn't want to criticize your own government, you were quiet. We caused the finance minister to come to this house. So that's a statement of fact. And let nobody be deceived. The minister says he's presenting guidelines by which the statutory funds, I don't know if it was limiting himself to common funds, should be disbursed. Is the minister seeking to take away the authority of this August House? We have passed the common fund formula. This House. By what authority would the minister say that he is giving guidelines? The guidelines for the usage of the common fund are all here. For the avoidance of doubt, and the template is not different. It's the same template that was used. Of course, I commend you when you say that you are going to ensure that 80% goes to assembly. That one, you have done well. It's work in progress. But you have not done too well. It is just a beginning. So, National Youth Program, National Employment Support, National Disaster Support, construction, renovation of MMDAs and other buildings, reserve fund, blah, 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 blah.
Honourable Member, which document are you reading?
I'm reading the 2025 District Assembly Common Fund Formula. Was passed by this House.
Very well.
So essentially, I'm saying that you have not done anything new. You have not done anything new. You are applauding the finance minister. I have not done anything new. And Speaker, I am questioning the authority with which our good friend, the exchequer, will come to this house and say that Cabinet has approved guidelines. Cabinet cannot approve any guideline that is different from the formula approved by this August House. So he's compelled to go by the provision of this formula. I want to emphasize that when we pass the appropriation bill 2025 into an act, then we approve the overarching amount that is supposed to go to the assemblies. So you're not doing us any grace. Finance Minister, you're not doing anything wondrous for the House to applaud you. You are paying what you are supposed to pay anyway.
Ghana Standard Authority atete enipa hasa ya wonu be komonten so akohwe niema e wadwa so se duru wonu susudua ho anaso se niema no omanfo otompo e de akofie de wodie de ode ye ho no aso ne papa no say neti.
The inspectors who will be deployed nationwide are mandated to enforce the Ghana Standard Authority Act 2022 at 1078. This forms part of the government effort to ensure accurate measurements, uphold quality control, and support economic growth. As you may be aware, the Ghana Standard Authority is expected to train a total of about 2,000 TSIs, and this is just the beginning. The Ministry of Trade, Agribusiness and Industry, through the Ghana Standard Authority, is resolute in scaling up the training program across the country. With the training of more TSIs, we can resort to appropriate and internationally recognized ways of measurement to ensure fairness in our system. By carefully inspecting products and services, the TSIs help to maintain high standards of quality of goods and safety of customers, which is important for building consumer trust and confidence, which are essential for a thriving 24-hour economy. Under the 24-hour economy, consumers are expected to have access to safe and reliable products at any time of the day or night. The TSIs will ensure that business adhere to regulations that protect consumer rights. It is also envisaged that bold initiatives such as the 24-hour economy and the big push will expand manufacturing and industrialization. Conversely, we have to work tirelessly to ensure that the consuming public is protected. It has to be a win-win situation. By this, we are not working to put impediments in the way of businesses and manufacturers, but rather ensuring that there is orderliness and fairness in the system. It therefore behoves on the Ghana Standard Authority, being the statutory body responsible for standardization, metrology and conformity assessment, to lead in our bid to adopt a universal system of measurement that would ensure consumer protection, trade facilitation and industrial compliance. I urge our esteemed TSIs to be the ears and the eyes of Ghana Standard Authority, by extension Ministry of Trade, Agribusiness and the government as a whole. I encourage each of you to see your action as a service to the nation and not to intimidate people. I do not want to hear stories where manufacturers are being blackmailed. I want you to work with integrity, to know that you are there to protect the consumer and to help the manufacturer do the right thing. Be a proper addition to industry.
Local Government Minister Onimonyamfo Mohammed Ibrahim de atudwa se yewura to force yebona baso ye sanse yeti krom ha e na afe ba akona common fund enkoy na emrahye bedwafo esu bosudwete nti enei first quarter akode a esese yebona baso.
Previously, Mr. Speaker, I will stand here and rant, no show. But this time, for the first time, an amount of close to 1 billion has been released to the administrator for this Assembly Common Fund. Mr. Speaker,
We suffered though. Myself and my good brother, Honorable Frank Anudompre, we will be at conclave, struggling with finance minister to release just 200. He said, I'll give you 300. We say 400. He said, no, I can't give 400. He said 250. Mr. Speaker, I believe Honorable Minister for Finance, myself and my good brother, Honorable Minority Chief Whip, we commend you for the good show. Mr. Speaker, secondly, let's call a spade spade. And he who clams well deserves a push. I've heard my respected colleague saying that we are in the second quarter. Yes, the second quarter has not ended for it to be released. The law says 1 month after the quarter. First quarter has ended, and that money has been released. We are in June, first week in June. So you cannot be demanding for second quarter release. Clearly, Mr. Speaker, the Minister for Finance has done what is needful. But Mr. Speaker, secondly, it is not only common fund that has been released. Common fund 1 billion, get fund 2 billion, health insurance 2 billion. Mr. Speaker, tell me, in your 12, 13 years stay in this house, have you seen this before? It has never happened. Mr. Speaker, we are going back to the pre-2017, where the assemblies were active and up and doing, where computers in the villages had jobs to do, where masons in the communities have jobs to do, where the rural folks who could fetch water for contractors had work to do, where those who were selling hardware in the villages had work to do, where, Mr. Speaker, Ghanaian youth were interested in artisanal job.
Ora nkanamu ase osraban won fa sika nhye boss na afei ye tema oil refinery mu said ye be ya beboa me yesikasem agina
tema oil refinery boss omo ye safety net Ghana for tonka or refinery product sika na ye kukuru de kwa mansan dwa ekoto finished product no eso beti boss so se me ne wo ka se ye bo na si fom omo tobi de asia ma me ne wo a ochena ebo no kosoropo a they can have some omo to see ye wa ne bo no wo fom se safety net mienu no ye ni anko ho na ya ampe the necessary investments ma omo ni dwuma a wo so omo dide bo Ghana embre bia no they will continue to be a drain on all of us and auto petrol wutua bust margin okay, toll recovery levy be the better petrol so since 2003. 22 years in the ego sutu asa aka no. And so toll a car or there no esroa na eko. So clearly no ye ni e was a koho. Clearly say e was a more musika bi e de boa omudwumadi no mutimi ebo Ghana fo nyina ho ban a ye ndi sa nkomo no ne yenhwe kwan ye befa so aboa wo na enye say oman ti say Ghana we remain price takers. Amanzan born call for man near Tiso, a cosro near cotton tam near the Abeswa trotro. We should be able to plan for our people.
MTN the abasobo dwumadi bi ehhehye so ewo wonum dwumadi aya wota edi de bo manfo abaso wadwuma so a wodi na afi de no Dr. Dwamna Aboaje na yeyi no say overall winner edema MTN Heroes of Change season 7 no emu.
MTN Heroes of Change a flagship program at MTN Ghana Foundation. Ede eba yes sir woman de bebo ankran bi abaso. Was say nipa bi ewo ye mpotem ye mantem ye mensirimu engrase tu a wɔn mo yɛ tu ho akyɛ adwuma nanso so saafo ne yɛn hu wɔn enti oduadua mu adresu kosi ase no wɔn ama ɔmanfo bi aboa wɔn ayiyi saafo nyina pie no wɔn so de wɔn ani de akyire sɛ de wɔn ɛka fa wɔn ho no sabɛpɛpɛ nete obi wɔn a wɔyɛ ne ho atu ho akyɛ adwuma a wɔhwɛ sɛ na kura ase sukuu ni hɔ ɔbɛboaboa nkwadaa no no akyerɛ wɔn adeɛ obi wɔn wɔn adi dɛm nipadua kwa baabi waboaboa wɔn ano no wɔyɛ bibi papa bi de ama saafo na setena mu nsɛm obi wɔn mo ahia do so po adokoro nkurɔfoɔ bi ɛwɔ ne ntwea so wɔyɛ ne fam de yɛhwɛ sɛ wɔbɛde sedeɛ ɛbɛba saafo ne nyinaa anim saa nneɛma wɔyi na MTN Heroes of Change wɔn mo ɛnam so a wɔn de ɛbɔ wɔn aba so afi wei deɛ no nso akɔ so ama MTN Heroes of Change season 7 grand finale no wadi abasobodi no ne ye $100,000 akọ ede ama Dr. Angela Dramana Abuaje founder Emma Ark Foundation anso hwa Mata Opoku Ajiman eba na pomuden semu a wono nso adan Mata Opoku Ajiman wono nso enya abasobodi ewo apomuden ensemu Adangbe Yaw Roxen Kofareba Adangbe Royal School ewo education mu wono nso enya abasobode ni bi Sakina Mumuni economic empowerment Bastop Boys eni omo akeka ho enya abasobode chairman Emma MTN Ghana Foundation Professor Franklin Menu ensem eni.
There are a lot of problems in our communities. But we always seem to look to government or big corporations and so on. What we are saying as a foundation with the Heroes of Change is that individuals can also make a difference. I mean, you saw the people who came there. Most of them have nothing, but in their communities, they've done what? Made a difference. So that's the message we want to send out, that you don't have to wait for somebody with big money to come and make a difference.
7 Heroes of Change. It's the last time I year 2022. And since then, no yentimi ye biom se niama baako mienu nti. Enti this year no de na ye train pa se ye betumi aye eyi no kure ni asoye ni aye hu no nipa ye jeda wo mo adi niama wo mo ye ama amansan ye ni je pa se yetumi aye sa ya ma mo sa platform yi se wo mo so mbeka ensempa wo mo ye nkofo ya mo ba ye bebre na ya ehya omo communities obi ampo ni mo mo but saa so ne yepe se yenso ye beda nipa saa edi if say omo ye nkofo a omo ni access to any form of a platform but omo ye ne mapa nti ye ne dia hye obi ankran say bibia also wo bia sanya betimi aye bia no so ye na fa support na ye nyina ye ntumi ye develop ye ku Ghana
se me catch say ye hia ameboa onipa ne ba na se okomode no na se bia stade a wo sempo atete so okọ hospital oni NHI o de na ye den ukọ police station cry bi o ho a car ye de be kwakwa nipa ko na wadi ne dem no e bi o kra prosifo ni bi inti esa wo hwehwe Uber anasa wo hwehwe taxi no ndiko inti sika de ye hia bi da inti wankasa wo bia fa bi breme enfo aya de no kremu nie wo mo ehye adwumadie ase ache na enye award winning no nko a wo mankasa adwuma a wo mo adi wo krom ha no ena mi hwe video no bi no kremu na e me nwanwa pa o ma ya de pa nti e bebo wan aba so se wo mo nkoso enye sa adwuma yi e ma no nkwa chire bebre na nyankopon so be hira won.
Antwafo me kai mo se UTV kase boso no wani guso a wo hwe no me pa cho wadaro mamiti eye Snash Beauty Salon wo mo awodome runabout ene ye meti emame wo mo ye pedicure manicure bibia ma oba ho sisi wie mu die no wo mo eye wo ho me pa cho frɛ no 0247858789 so 0247858789 so saso na Clothing Palace ehye matade oba atade bia the free atade so kosi mpaboa ne bags bibia man tade fie nti ukọ a won sabe ka bi ono so ewo Accra Central Lava Abrosan no omuni ne di nhwani mu nti sa dan na ne Lava Abrosan di nhwani mu ofro kosoro ho a na wakoje ode enye sa so afre no 0271998313 so on sabe ka wo me home so na bongo difara ebeba de agudie mu nsem abeto aso.
to break us your boy. Eye Ecobank, Adaroma, and Waso Yasne, Ama Yede Bro.